All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies class, I've been creating a series of video presentations that are based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the Git and GitHub section, and in the second part it's a Hello World. And they talk about a bunch of stuff in here, how to create a repository, how to create a branch. I'm going to let you read that on your own. And what I'm going to do, rather than doing this, is I'm going to show you a simple example of something that we might do. Okay, so I'm going to come into Visual Studio Code right here, and I don't need the terminal open. We've got this, and I'm just going to save this. So this is called, well, this is terrible. I don't want to use this one. So let's do this. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to create a new folder. In fact, let me close from the last thing I had open. I no longer need the filter button or form or index or app.js or to do or that index.css or this index. That's good. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a new folder and it's just going to be called Git Fun. Stupid name, but it's the one I'm going to use. All right. Right now, there is nothing in here. I think you'd agree with that. It's an empty folder. But what I want to do is I want to make this available to be used to be able to push it and create a GitHub repository. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click in here and I'm going to choose Git Bash here. And it opens up this window. Now, you may have seen me use this before in earlier things, and that's fine. Now, I'm going to type in here right now. I'm going to get an error message. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to type in Git Status. And it says fatal. There's not a Git repository. There's nothing in here. So I'm going to make something to put in there right now. And to do that, I type in Git space init. Let me see if I can make this bigger for all of you. That's about as big as I think that should work. And hit enter. Now, it actually made a folder in here that starts with a dot, so you may or may not be able to see it on yours. We'll talk about that later. Don't play with this folder. There's nothing in there you should need to touch, okay? But I now have that. All right. Now I'm just going to stop for here, and I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to, in Visual Studio Code right here, I'm going to close this. In fact, do I want to save it? No, I don't want to save it. I'm going to totally close Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to take this folder, this Git Fun that I just created. I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to choose open with, I thought I set it up to open it with Visual Studio Code. I must not have chosen that option. That's not a problem. We'll just go into Visual Studio Code right here, and we'll say File, Open Folder. And from the desktop, we'll grab Git Fun, and we'll select it. All right. Since that folder we had in there starts with a dot, there's nothing showing in here. But I want to add right here in my Git Fun, I want to add a new file. So I'm going to click on that, and we'll call this index.html. Okay. All right. And I'm going to use the Emmet shortcut, which means I hit an exclamation point and I hit tab. So that's created this for me. All right. I'm going to come in here and just change the name, and we're going to call this Git Fun. All right, and all we're going to put in here is just an H1 tag that says this is my Git / boy oh boy GitHub example. All right, and there you go for emphasis. Save that. I'm going to right mouse click on here and open it with Live Server. So that's it. That's all that's in here. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine the way it is. All right. So we've got that. So why did I do that? First of all, I want to do a file save. So I've saved everything. Now, what I want to do is I want to take this thing, this Git Fun, and I want to be able to push it out to GitHub, out to the cloud. All right. And how am I going to do that? Well, first I'm going to go to my GitHub account. And again, I'm going to use the one that I was logged into, my regular one, my JP Scott Rankin. That's right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here where there's that plus sign, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to click New Repository. All right. And it has my path here, and it's waiting for a name. Well, you want to make it the same name and even use the same caseness as the folder that you just created. Mine was called Git Fun with a capital G and a capital F. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So Git Fun. Notice it's available. That's good. Feel free to put a description in if you want. When you are working on your work, you will make it private. Anything that I do, I will make public so that you have access to it. But when you do yours, you will make it private, and we'll talk about this at a later time. You will give me what's called an invitation to it. You can add a README file if you want. That's fine. You can add a git ignore. We'll go over all this stuff. I'm just going to click Create Repository. So now I've got out there on the cloud, I've got this. And I'm just going to keep that right there. I'm going to do a Control-C to save that. All right. Now, I want to go back in again to right here, and I want to start working with this. Now, I've got a file, which I will send to all of you, but it's my own GitHub cheat sheet. And I always forget at least some of the commands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to desktop here, and I know it's something like star git star do star not star dot text. Of course, it wouldn't find that. How about this? Star git star txt. Git commands keep this. That's it. Again, I will send this to all of you. All right. So the first thing we can do to check to make sure that Git is loaded, I'm going to follow all these commands that are in here to try to show them to you, or at least most of them. We say git minus version to see if Git is up and running. Could have even done that before. We know it's running because we already did the git init, but just to show you, it should say 2.32.0 because that's what I loaded. And what does it have? I wanted git minus version. It said unknown option. All right, so let's clear. And is it git minus version? Yes, it is. There's two minus signs there. All right, and it's showing me what version I'm running. Okay, good. Now, the next thing, you have to do this only once. So each one of you is going to have to do this. I've already done it, but I'll do it again because it really doesn't hurt. But you have to say git space config space minus global user.name, and then in double quotes, put your name, not my name, put your name, and hit enter. And if it comes back with just a prompt, that's good. It worked. Now, I want to do almost the same command, so I could type it in again, or I could hit my up arrow key that's down under my shift key on the right to bring that command back up. And now I want to say user.email. All right. And jpscott@rankin.edu. And I should mention that I would prefer it if you would name yours, whatever your email name is, Rankin. So I'm JP Scott Rankin, and you'd be John Smith Rankin, Mary Jones Rankin, etc. All right, so we've done the version and we've done our setup. All right, I had already done the git init. You saw that. Well, I cleared the screen, but you saw it earlier. Now what I want to do, you may or may not remember, but before I typed in Git Status and it came back with nothing, it gave me an error. But now it says, hey, I've got this file and it's in red. All right. So that means that it's not what's called staged yet. So if I want to add it, I can add it. If I want to just add everything, which is what I want to do, I'll do this command right here. Git space add space dot and hit enter. Now it looks like nothing happened. But if I do another Git status, you'll notice now it says it's ready to be committed. All right. And it's got the file in green. That's good. So the next thing I want to do is commit this. So I say git space commit space -m space, and then in double quotes, some kind of a message. This is my initial commit. So I'm going to type in initial commit and hit enter. and it says there was one file, and it was the index one. Don't worry about the rest of it. It's not really that important. The next thing that I have to do, all right, sorry about that. Got a phone call. And continuing on then, this git remote add log and this URL, now I've got to go back to my GitHub account, and I got to grab this and copy that to the clipboard. Yours, of course, will be different because it'll be reflective of your name. So now I want to come in, and I want to type in the rest of this command. Git space remote space add space origin space, and then you can do it in single or double quotes. I don't think it matters. Paste that in and hit enter. And again, all it did was come back with my prompt. That's good though. All right. If I want to verify, as it says, that the link has been set, I can type in git space remote space. Now I don't know if it's still -v. Yep. And these should be the same. And that's good. That's exactly what I want it to be. All right. Don't worry about this branch. We're not going to do anything with branches right now, but we're going to now attempt to take and push our project that we just worked on. All right. The one that we just worked on, we're going to attempt to push that out to GitHub. And this is the command to do it. So I'm going to copy this command, bring this back up, paste it in, and hit enter. Now it's, it says error failed to push some refs. Okay, I'm not sure what the problem would have been. Oh, I think, no. Origin. Wow. Failed to push some refs out there. Not sure what the problem is. Let me do my Git status again. Says nothing to commit. The working tree is clean, so it's ready to be pushed. Remote add origin. Git push, git space push space. Well, let's see, because they give you some commands to use here out on your regular GitHub page too. Let's see if these have changed. So, git space branch, no. Commit, we did the commit. Yeah, that's exactly what it's showing here. So, the ones we care about are the init, the commit, the remote, and the push. That looks like it should work. Not sure why it wouldn't. Error failed to push some refs. Well, as always, and let's see where I am for time. I'm at 13 minutes, so I'm fine. So I'm going to Google it. So it says, I'm going to say GitHub error. Failed to push some refs. All right, your origin repository is ahead of your local repository. You'll need to pull down changes from the origin as follows before you can, well, let's see. This can be executed between your commit and your push. I do want to pull from the master. I've never had to do this before, but it's interesting anyway. It says I use this command and it worked fine. Let's try that first. Now there's a little caveat I've got to mention to you right here. And this is the command they tell you to use. Don't use this. All right, in our age of political correctness, we don't use master anymore, even though it still says it up here. We should be turning to main. So let's see if still gives me that error. I want to see if I put master in there. For some reason, it takes that. I like master. No, it didn't. Invalid username or password. All right, that's the problem. It says that when I logged in, I must have logged in incorrectly. So let's see. And the problem probably is when I added that other account, I really shouldn't have done that. So let's see. I'm going to try to log out and log back in again and see if that fixes it. It's quirky the way that this works. I'm just telling you right now. Once you've done it a couple times, it's no biggie whatsoever. So I'm going to try this again. GitHub.com. I'm in as JP Scott Rankin, so that should be okay. And let's see if it even saved my repository. No, it says it already exists on this account. All right, so it should be out here then. So search or jump to right there. All right. Yeah, I'm doing it with HTTPS. I'm trying to figure out why this would have failed. Let's double check. HTTPS github.com, JP Scott Rankin, Git fund. That looks totally correct to me. Oh, boy. All right, so I tried it again. I'm not sure what's happening because it's hanging literally right there, and I don't know why. But it didn't work. And I'm getting that. Source ref spec main does not match any. Well, it has to almost be because this says master, but I'm going to let it sit and spin for a bit. The point is what should happen, and we'll do this in class, is this should come back, and after it does come back, we should be able to go out here and then just take this repository right here, all right, and basically just refresh. And when you refresh, we should see the stuff that we've got in here. All right, now it's just hanging, and I have no idea why this would be. I have not seen this before. But, you know, what can I say? It's whenever you try to do something like this, this is what seems to happen. But I've run through the basic commands with you. I'm going to let this just sit and spin for a while. And if it does come back, I'll be able to share it with you. And otherwise, I'll see if I can figure out what the problem is. Go through this hello world. They show you how to create the repository. The branch is basically more used when you're working on projects with other people. We're going to do little to none of that, so I'm not going to go over that. I showed you how to make and do changes, but the idea is what I wanted us to be able to do, if this were to have come back, is I was going to go in then to our file that we have right here. Oops, not there. That we have right here, and I was just going to make a change. Like I was going to put in a paragraph. So I was going to put in a paragraph and type in here lorem 40. And that'll give me 40 words of garbage text, for lack of better words. All right. And just so you can see this, so these are the 40 words right there. Well, a little more. There we go. Come on. There. All right. And then I was going to go back and save it and go back and go through the whole process again so you could see the change. Why this is hanging, I don't know. All right, apologize in advance. All right, so like I said, go through all this. Don't worry about the pull request and merging your pull. Don't worry about that stuff. All right, So when we go over the next step in here, we will look at the Git handbook. All right, we'll be back with that in just a couple minutes.